Dr. Paul Dyer, Grandmaster Dyer. Welcome to Bridges Live Presents She Heroes. All you guys know all the things the podcasts I do, whether it be weekends, conversations, and discussions. It's about three most important things always. It's about information, understanding, and an action. Hopefully, you always put those three things together. This way, you too can be informed, you too can then understand, and then you too can take yourselves and get out there to do. I'd like to welcome some beautiful queens, and they're going to introduce themselves. But first and foremost, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. For those of you who can't see me on the podcast, sorry for you, and you can go on YouTube. But the picture I have behind me is my mom. And the reason why I picked my mom, because my mom's my hero. And if it wasn't for my mom, I wouldn't be where I am today, whether it be in the martial arts, whether it be for anything, but she was a diehard martial artist and a supporter. So I just want to say thank you because we all come from somewhere, but we all get led by a great, great women, and that's what we are. So thank you, my mom, and I want to cherish you always by the things I do and honor you. I praise you. Thank you, God. So, Master Robinson, please introduce these beautiful queens that we have on our She Hero show.
Oh, wow. We have Master Shakira. I call her my mentor, my friend, my soror. We have Dr. Gurman, who our spirit I just love. I met her because of the book, Grandmaster Odette Russell, phenomenal woman. We have another soror, Grandmaster Deja Cole. We have Grandmaster Pat, and we have Contra Minister Amazonas, and we have Dr. Cynthia joining us. I'm happy to have you with us as well, sis.
You know, we there's a lot to discuss, and if anyone has any questions, please contact us here at the show, and I'll make sure that they get it. But otherwise, I'm totally going to ignore all your questions because these women have more to say than you have questions to ask. And this is not a one-time conversation. I think this conversation needs to be continued to have because one show will never do it justice. And there's so many amazing, incredible women out there that just never get heard from. But at least we have these women to hear from us now. My question to you is not how you got started in martial arts. They can buy the book. They can go through all that. What I want to talk about is how do we keep protecting our queens and our young ladies because they're dying out here. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about because that's what you guys are teaching. That's what you guys are doing. You guys are developing that next warrior clan to say, we got you. You're not alone, and come join us. Mama Bay, what do you got? I know you're thinking over there. You got a lot to.
Okay. So I get to start the relay off. Thank you, Asante. Once more, I have been blessed to carry the name of my family, which is Jermon Mornair, and my beliefs as a Bay. I am an African martial scientist. I don't do martial arts, I do martial sciences. I don't do self-defense, I do self-preservation, perceiving the enemy or the situation before the attack. This is the information that I share with our young, and I've kind of stretched that word queen out and pushed it into the concept of an empress, because an empress rules a nation. And I am responsible for my young women of color, that nation. I am a survivor, approximately a 50-year survivor. And that required that I had to understand the concept of, there's a difference between kill and murder. You know, kill and murder are two totally different things. The fifth commandment, a lot of people say, thou shalt not kill. What it really technically says is thou shalt not murder. So sometimes we have to take a leap and protect ourselves. So that is one of the things I teach. I'm honored by Master Robinson that she allowed me to be a part of the her document. The young people I work with are the RICH program, and my system is the Akuru Legacy Council. And we work with street level associations. We don't work with gang members. Gang members are criminals.
Mhm.
We have street level associations. So it's a pleasure to be here, and our young women. If I'm gonna get in trouble, I'm gonna say this. Forgive me. Chickens can't raise roosters, and that's something that, as having sons, that I had to search out the brothers, the roosters, that would assist with my sons and their growth. So if I had to share that, so yeah, let's hear it for the continent of Africa and where it all started.
You said something very important, and that's really, it's about how you teach. It's
Yes.
the words you use are so vitally important because it resonates in a different part of the brain that that's where I teach at. And there are still not enough young, middle-aged, or older, or people that are so traumatized that that's not connecting with them. So
Mhm.
how you ladies are breaking through, you're cracking through, and that's the work you're doing. And that is the work, right?
Yes.
Deidre?
But
Go ahead,
if
sit
I
down.
may say, I'm
Abs-
69 years old. And this is the first thing I share with our young people. I'm 69. And I tell the young people, do as I do, not as I say. Follow my legacy. Please look at my legacy and go forward. So I thank my fellow warrior sisters here. And yeah, they call me Mama G. It stands for Mama OG. Original gangster, but I told them don't call me that so much.
You guys can chime in because this is really open conversation, because I want you to talk to the women that will hear this, talk to the men that will hear this, talk to the universe that should hear this. So let it out, because this is a drum that doesn't get beat often. This is a drum that gets silenced more than it gets beaten, and it gets silenced on purpose. Let's not get mistaken. Your voices, as the women that you are being silenced for centuries, for purposeful execution.
Mhm.
So speak.
Yeah. So I'd like to say, first of all, thank you for having a platform like this and allowing us to come here and to share this space. And I think part of it will be just exactly what you're doing. More people, allowing things like this to happen. I think it's a wonderful time right now in 2021 to be a woman, because you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, if people are finally starting to notice us, and we've had to fight really, really hard and long to get the attention and get the ear of people. And I think that right now is the perfect time for Master V's book to be out. And I know a lot of other women are writing books and doing wonderful things and whatever. And it's all about, I think, about being transparent and not being like, unreachable or whatever. So, because I have a background in law enforcement, and I've dealt with people on all levels, and I just feel like the way that they hear you when they know that you're listening to what they're saying. And so I try to use my life, and I wrote a book also too. And I think the key is to just be as transparent as possible. Yes, I've been a victim of sexual assault. I've been a victim of, my own victim, where I didn't think at one point in time that I was enough, or that I was worthy, or that I was valuable, or whatever. But now that I understand these things, and now that, I had some hard life lessons, I feel like, woe unto me if I was to just hold on to all that and not share that story with people, with women, to know that, hey, you know what, that happened to me too. That happened to me too. So I think the fact that right now it's like the seed and the soil is perfect for us to be out here now, sharing our stories, teaching women and talking to them about how important it is to learn how to defend and protect yourselves, and how to value yourselves. Because if you look at the news and if you look at the media, they're showing you everything but that. They're showing women, first of all, scantily dressed, and we got to be bees and hoes and all this kind of stuff. And it's just like being, the Instagram thing and all this kind of stuff. It's like, no, women need us right now. They need us. I'm 56 years old and 56 years young. And I just had made up my mind that, you know what, I don't care. I'm not trying to hide. I don't care who likes it, who has what to say. I know that my mission and my purpose is to empower through my own life story, my own, trials and tragedies and triumphs, and just sharing that with people and just being, a willing vessel to be used wherever I go, no matter what the platform is. I'm going to share my story. And I'm going to try to help and connect to somebody by being vulnerable and being honest.
So when it comes to computers, this is so way out of my league. When it comes to algorithms and what you call the different words you use to where it gets into, I can't forget what the name is, where certain words pop up in the algorithms and things like that. And I had to look into it for a computer scientist, and I said, I've been doing this for several years, and he goes, yeah, but Dr. P, you've been doing all positive stuff. I said, so why does that matter? He goes, yeah, the people who control the algorithms and how it gets put out there, they want to sensationalize the degradation of other things so it keeps certain people out. I was like, I mean, I knew it was in the news, but on the computer too, we can't get away from it. I was like, I was hurt, but then I was like, why am I so hurt? Why would that surprise me so? And it shouldn't be surprising, but it still hurt.
I'd like to chime in at this point. Did I jump in on anybody's? I don't. Thank you, my sisters. I appreciate you all. Since we're vibing ages, I may be one of the oldest ones here. I'm 72. I really appreciate and love martial arts. And to the question, specifically, how do we help and protect young girls and women? Guru Valencia, well, at the time it was Guru Master Valencia, flew all the way to Atlanta, where I am, to do a workshop for girls. And I was there. We had one of our clubs that's here of all girls. And the thing that we specifically focused on, and Master Valencia, jump in at any time with this, started with the whole issue of how do you talk to your mom? How do you, as young girls, address your mom? How do your mothers address you? What language should you be using? How should you be thinking about your parents, particularly the women, your mothers, your grandmothers? The way you address them speaks to how others will be addressing you. And we started looking at the whole aspect of language. And you spoke earlier, Dr. Thomas, about language and the importance of language. And we're looking at how do you help young girls and women to appreciate, number one, who they are, number two, where they come from in terms of their ancestry back in the day, how they have been programmed, if you will, to not look at themselves with the beauty that they have internally, not in terms of the external definition of beauty, but the internal. And we help them look at their beauty with mirrors. Look at the beautiful sisters you are. You don't have to respond to people who are calling you hoes. You don't have to respond to people who are doing degrading things to you. You have beauty within. Now with that beauty, we want to help you to understand how to use that beauty to protect yourself in ways that where you don't end up in law, where you don't end up, like Sister Deidre was saying, in a situation where you are the perpetuator, where you are the one who caused the effect, who caused the incident to happen because you overdo it. You don't have to beat down a person because that person called you out of your name. You don't have to beat them down because you don't appreciate the way they addressed you. It's about patience. It's about humility. It's about understanding that does not make you weak. After our session of discussion, we then taught them self-defense, safety self-defense techniques that they could use to help protect them from being taken away, from being beat up on, to help them to know the importance of being able to run. That's an important self-defense strategy. Do what you need to do and get out of town. Because I'm trained as a lawyer, I understand the importance of language. I understand the importance of how you defend yourself, what words you use, and the importance of using those words in a way that says, oh man, after I've knocked you down, are you okay? And get out of town. Because what were the person who
Hey, Master Shakir.
The person with the camera, what would they see? They saw you beating someone down. It's not your role to beat them down. It's your role to have humility in the process of self-defense. Sir, you're getting ready to ask a question.
Yeah, the question I have is, if I have 7 daughters, right? and 9 grandchildren, and 4 of them are daughters, girls. If a woman does not get the concept or the understanding of what you just said, could they ever rise and be a hero or warrior?
Yeah. Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I have 20 grandkids, sir. I teach my kids and grandkids martial arts. I have dummies down in my gym. It's the importance of understanding that yes, this is not about beating and being a bully in a situation. It's about the beauty that you have. And knowing that with that, you can be all that you can be and more than you can be. And self-defense is an aspect of that beauty. And we're talking self-defense in a way that says how you can use the beauty of your hands, your natural resources, how you can use the beauty of your feet, how you can use the beauty of your elbows, things that you have, your wrists, your head, how you can use aspects of your beauty as a self-defense technique. And that doesn't mean that you have to go out and get a stick. You have to go out and get a brick. No, it says that you have within you that harmony, that flow. Use it in a way that allows you to flow. How do you use self-defense? In a way that maintains your beauty. You use it as you recognize your beauty within. And I can help you do that. I can help you do that. Let's stand up here in the mirror. Let's use our arms and elbows and look at the beauty of that mastery. Look at how you can use it in dance and look at how dance uses that same beauty. So what dances do you know? What aspects of that dance beautify you? Humanity is a part of you. Beauty is part of you. Do not leave a part of you anywhere that says you are not beautiful. Don't allow anyone that says you can be anything other than your beauty, because they don't understand you. Sister Valencia.
Wow, wow.
Wow.
You said a lot. You said a lot that's very pertinent and very true. And I think, Dr. Dyer, the big thing for me to follow behind Master Shakira is that it's really about confidence. And the key thing of how do you talk to your mom? How do you talk to your sister? We can show you, or we can emulate confidence in how we walk and how we talk. But guess what? You have to learn to be confident within yourself. People look at you and assume that you are okay in certain areas of your life, but they have no idea because they don't know the behind the scenes story. So we do, I think a few of the sisters said, transparency. You gotta be transparent because people, first of all, need to trust you. Is she out to gain something or is she really here to help me? Gaining that by being transparent and gaining that trust, then we start talking about how can I help you to see the beauty within? What makes you think that you're not confident? Well, I'm gonna tell you all the things that make me think that you are confident. So putting those little key tidbits out there. Yes, self-defense is our secondary reason why we train people, but self-defense starts with the mind, how to teach you how to guard your mind, but not allowing everything that everyone says to come inside and you take hold of it and make it your truth. It's not your truth. If you've been assaulted, if you've been abused, that was a story some time ago. That's not who you are. So how do we get past the emotional impact of that? We're counseling all day long and we can theorize all you want, but until you are in a space where you say, you know what, I am no longer captive to my past and I'm ready to go on, nothing is going to change. So our goal as martial art women is to say, hey, you are no longer captive to that past. Let me show you a way. Let me help you find that confidence. Let me help you see that beauty within so that you can go forward and live in the moment. It's not an easy task, but that's what we do. That's how we serve the community, letting you see that there's more to you that meets the eyes. Martial arts piece to me is just secondary to who you become in the process. So it's really about personal development on a high level. And you know, as a Black belt, how we sweat and cry and blood on the floor is about the physical piece. It's about that mental transformation, that emotional transformation, that emotional gain as an individual that you garner through your journey as a martial artist.
Can I drag my sister Pat out here?
Okay.
Pat and I go way back. Pat and I go back to the days when there was no real women's division. You just got who you got. We fought with no handgear, no headgear, no mouthpieces. This is what we did. And yes, my instructor, Vita Saana, okay, JC, and all the guys that Pat and I, we came, they created an anomaly. I'm on the street for a long time, I would say I would name or kill. I don't have a problem. I'm not sweet and loving, or I'm not. I'm so far, maybe there's a part of me that is, when, my sons came running out of the dressing room one time and they were crying, the male dressing room, Mom, those men, I had $1,000. I got the money. They're in there calling you a bitch. And I'm like, well, you go back and tell them, put doctor in front of
That's
that.
right.
Better yet, tell them to put grandmaster.
That's right.
And of course, they ran across the room. Yeah, that's doctor bitch. I'm like, I didn't say do it like that, but y'all got the point. And this is back in the day. Pat, will you please talk about what we went through? Because she's sitting there with that smirk on her face.
Yeah.
Well, back in the day, when I started, it was only one division.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was 15, so I had to go into women's division.
Mm-hmm.
Here I am, 3 weeks in training. I had to fight a red belt,
Mm-hmm.
and she kicked my behind.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I could have stopped. I went back to class. I trained again. Second fight, I did a little better, still lost. By the third fight, the young lady that I fought in my first tournament said, most women will stop.
Mm-hmm.
She was surprised how much I had improved, even though I was still a white belt. Now, the two baddest black belts at that time was Margie Harris and Kathy Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
And you talking about fear.
Mm-hmm.
I fought Margie as a brown belt. And we was on it that by that time, it was separate divisions. So brown and black still had to fight. I beat that woman out of fear.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I was so shocked that I said, I beat Margie? Okay. But by the time I was intermediate, that's when it came out with the safety equipment. Now, Reed students had to wear it.
Mm-hmm.
We had the option. But then they was out of control and they hit me in my jaw twice. Me had to hit back, but when I hit them, they slid in the other ring.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first one. The second one I hit, she slid not in the next ring, she slid in the ring beyond that. So we're in the locker room and they didn't see me. And they said, that blue belt can hit. I left my fist print in their chest. And that's without the equipment. So you can imagine now, they got to wear face shields and elbow pads. They look like, what's that?
They look like a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. That's what they look like.
Yeah.
That's what they look like. Now, the first time I saw a shield, this thing looked like a football helmet. So this girl said, hit me. You want me to hit you? Yeah, hit me. She didn't know I was a judge. Okay, I hit her. And she bounced off the wall. So I went over and I said, you okay? She said, what about your hand? Oh, my hand's okay. Are you sure? I said, yeah. I hate to tell you, I'm your judge in your ring. But that shows you, even with the equipment, you can still get hurt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, move further on, I'm driving a Metro bus. I was like 4 months into the job, I get assaulted. Guy hit me in the head with Manischewitz wine bottle with wine in it. Luckily, my trainer told me to turn my head. To this day, I still have the stitches, scar on my head. I have been spit on, slapped, called all kinds of names, and I don't care what language it was in. So being a driver is hazardous, but I have talked to some of my passengers, especially my high school kids. And I'd say, why are you doing this? And I mean, just male and female. Why are you defacing the bus? What's the purpose? Well, I said, you fall in a trend. How about stopping it now? The same kids came back and said, thank you. I even had a kid, little boy snatched a trash out of my hand. And I said, come here, baby. Do you know me? She said, no, man. Do I know you? He said, no man, his mother's standing right there.
Hmm.
Baby, look, we got some nasty drivers on this line. Now, when you take the transfer, take it nice. I don't want mama to cuss the driver out. But I don't want you to be by yourself and then you get hurt doing that. And stop. I even had a kid bring a BB gun on the bus. All right? And I'm going down the line, holding a BB gun, driving the bus, and there's Montgomery County living right there.
Now they're bringing real guns. So
Right.
Yeah, there you go. And I told him, what you gonna do with it? Well, we're going to somebody's yard and shoot a can or something. I said, well, if that BB miss somebody, it's the can, hit somebody. They learn. So, during my 20 plus years, I've talked to about high school kids. I had my little fun with the little ones, I had fun. But I talked to them. And even when I retired, they said, Metro, when you coming back? I said, baby, they retired me, and they started crying.
Dr. Cynthia?
Yes, thank you. First, I would like to say thank you for inviting me. I'm getting ready to share with you something Deidre has never known. Deidre and I both came up during the era where there weren't any men divisions as well. Right. When I joined Deidre, she was the only female in the class of 50 men or more when I came over to the dojo where she was. But I started training in 76. I too am a victim several times. I have experienced incest from my siblings. I was raped in the martial arts. I was raped on my job at McDonald's. But for me, how to answer your question, how do we teach? I had to teach myself. And Deidre was my idol. I wanted to kick like Deidre. I wanted to punch like Deidre. I was an awesome fighter. I was a brown belt in Shotokan. Nobody knew it. But Deidre and Lady Eva were the baddest women in the Midwest. And I said, that girl's not going to kick me with those legs. That was my thing. How was I going to get past her legs? And I knew if I could fight Deidre and all those 50 men, that I could handle anybody else. So what I did in high school, I started working with the police department in Chicago Public Schools through the We Care Role Model Program. And I told my story, and I still tell my story. And as I told my stories, other students would come to me and say, hey, I'm a victim too. I need help. And I would utilize my resources to help them. I started paying for young men and women both in the Roseland community area to go to school. Mr. Weston saved my life from my family. And we used to ride up and down Roseland because in the 70s and 80s, parents were selling their children for drugs. Women were prostituting their babies. And Mr. Weston and I were on a mission to take them off the streets. And they went to St. Willibard Catholic High School on my money that I made from McDonald's and Jacobin drugs. As I got older and matriculated through college, I did the same thing. I continued to reach out to women. I continued to tell them my story. But everything that happened to me, I used as a tool to make me stronger. And being in the martial arts helped me be stronger. I had to see strong women like Master Ernestine Morgan, Master Peggy Mitchell, Master Jennifer Hampton, Lady Eva and Deidre going at it. And they became the persons that I wanted to be. And Deidre, I did not know we were the same age, by the way. And she had the fastest legs. And she told me, she said, I'm not going to hurt you, but you're going to fight at the tournament. And I tried, I couldn't get past those legs. She stopped, she said, I'm not gonna fight her. I'm not gonna fight her and I'm not gonna hurt her. And I would never, ever forget how much respect she showed me. And the men tried to blackball my name and throw me under the mud. And even to this day, when I got promoted in 2013 to 10th degree black belt, oh, they went crazy. They were upset. They're still upset to this day. But I still tell my story because we are the legacy of those that were before us. We are the last of the women who fought men-only divisions. There is no more women who know what we went through. But if we tell those stories and continue telling the stories of what we went through, how racism and sexism occurred in the martial arts and still occur in the martial arts, and tell them to continue with the legacy, they don't know unless we do. Hence, I have the Girls and Geese All-Female Martial Arts Tournament. And it was as a result of everything that I've experienced in my life as a martial artist and as a young woman growing up. Because the martial arts is what I did in all the pageants that I've won. The martial arts helped me write my dissertation. It helped me travel around the world. In the Girls and Geese Foundation, we have free self-defense seminars to talk about who we are. How do we become aware of our surroundings? How do we stay little ladies and protect ourselves? Young ladies, women, or whatever we want to be, how do we protect ourselves? Walking, going out places, in our homes, in our cars. After we do these self-defense seminars, we have banquets once a year, and I highlight those women who influence me. And it's only a very few that I knew before me, but I always tell the story of them, and I've been trying to get them to come so I can share their story and introduce to these young women, real martial artists who didn't fight with equipment, who had to go bare knuckles without anything on their feet and chest and mouth guards. We were thrown on the ground and stomped. I want to tell those stories. So we tell those stories. And then we have the karate tournament. And I also have a pageant. And the money that we raise are all given away for college scholarships. But it's because of the women before me. I promise to continue the legacy that was before me, to continue telling the story and to continue fighting for women in the martial arts, for our rights as women. Because if we don't stand up and support each other, no one else will.
If we don't tell our story, the story doesn't get told, and the story that does get told gets misrepresented, and then it gets washed.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I want to hear Pastor Lisa Amazonas. She's probably the youngest of all of us, but I'm sure she's got an awesome story to tell us as well. Hey, sis.
Before you go, please, Deirdre, I know you want to tell your friend Cynthia.
Yeah, and I won't be long. I just wanted to tell Cynthia, thank you so much for sharing that. And I've always thought that you were amazing. I saw that greatness in you even way back then. And to see the wonderful things that you went on to accomplish and the fierceness that you have now. And I think it's a wonderful thing that you do with your Girls and Geese tournament. I know you've been doing that for years and years and years. And I just think that your tenacity and your fierceness and your, just your experiences and everything that's ever happened to you, it just allowed you to finally just, journey into who you were purposed to be anyway. So even all those bad things that happened, look at what you're doing now. You have a platform and you're just doing wonderful things and you're giving back to these girls and doing it all in the city of Chicago, where I know it's rough. I know that, so, kudos to you. Keep up the great work. And I'm just very, very proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Can we hear from our youngest soror sister? Turn your mic on, sis. I didn't hear you.
My microphone is on. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Hear you.
All right, amazing. Thank you again, Guru V, for inviting me to be part of such a marvelous group. I'm excited about the promise of the book and also being able to continue to grow my information and grow my experience with the women that are here and beyond. Getting back to Dr. Paul's question about helping and protecting our young sisters is, I think, one, we've all touched on it in different ways, but I think one of the most common things that we do is knowing that we, one, come with a legacy, we come with a story. We didn't just arrive today, and most people don't know that there is a backstory. So being transparent is definitely a highly effective tool to, one, making connection. One of the things that I've learned in my journey is that we all come to martial arts and martial science from different angles and from different things. Some want to learn self-defense or how to find confidence or how to get along with others or how to just have friends, how to do something of the sort. And I think it's important that we meet them on that level. Some just need the ability and to know that they have a platform, they have empowerment. We have all these wonderful titles, from our journeys, and it's something that is not that you can just pick out of aisle 6. There was definitely work behind it. And I think that it's very important that in the remaining transparent is realizing, like I tell people a lot of times, I didn't even know I was training when I was training. because it was part of our daily lifestyle and that daily upbringing of realizing before I could spell queen that I was destined for greatness. Before I could dispel respect totally, I really knew that what it looked like by looking at the relationships that my mother had with other people and, you know, how males and females interact and to see what is healthy, but also realizing that our parents and our environment is not necessarily all, it's a great teacher, but it's not always necessarily the model. And that may be the model that we don't want to do. So to know that you are empowered by decision, choice, and it's not by happenstance that we have met whoever that person is. I know that there is a divine purpose that we have that's within us that's supposed to connect us to be able to move forward. So if you're looking for the martial science of how to elegantly gain control of a situation from the inside without, because again, there is no submission on any part unless there's an agreement. Two can't walk together unless they're in agreement. So
you brought me, you really gave me a great segue, because I know men listen to this or men turn it off, men turn away. But what I think when men turn away, turn off, and disregard, they're not understanding what they are doing, and they are not getting what they can help you with, support you with, and not control you with. What is some of those things you can teach those men who keep trying to kick you, push you down, and ignore? Because just because they don't recognize, to me, that's ignorance. And when you ignore someone, that is just as harmful, hurtful, and just as abusive.
I'd like to address that, sir.
Yeah.
First, I'd like to summarize what we've heard from all these beautiful sisters. There were actually 10 powerful points that came out of everything that folk have said. Part of it has been be literal and speak confidence as you speak, to talk on their level or to meet them where they are, which has come out, to show respect. As you give respect, you are receiving respect to each of them, to share your story, to be honest, literal, and open with your story, to go where they are, and that means physical as well as psychological and spiritual in that, to go out in the street if you need to with that. I know it's a little difficult with coronavirus, but we walk around everywhere I go. I'm sharing with people, whether it's at the dentist's office or sister, brother, let me show you a couple of simple techniques that you can do wherever you are. You know, I do that all the time. They're like, oh, good martial arts. The other beauty, and to get to your point about men, when they see what I can do, you know, when they see what Guru Valencia could do, because I was trained with her, they're like, whoa, really? They're too cute to be fierce. I said, brother, please.
But that's
don't come wrong to me.
But that's hurtful to me. I think that I don't understand how that verbiage is even cute and appropriate. That means they're still missing some things.
Oh, for sure. But ours is to educate them. Ours, for me, is to overlook them because they're not at a level yet where they understand. Right. But when they get to that point of understanding, it's like the old rap song, I'll meet you when you get there. You know, it's like they're not there yet. And I understand that. So I'm not degrading them because they're ignorant. Right. I understand the ignorance. And to move on to be free with yourself, to fight. I had one instructor, one master who told me, fight like a man, walk out like a lady. You know, walk out with your dignity, walk out the way you walk in, you know, with that same pride and that same fierceness. But when you need to get down, get down. And I'm a master at getting down on you if I need to get down on you. And I also know how to defend myself. You know, if there are witnesses, you know, I know what language to use so that if I have to testify anywhere, I have the words for that. To remain transparent, which you spoke earlier. Number 9, to recite what is healthy, as the young sister said. Sister, brother, is it healthy for you to walk around like that? Healthy for you to use those words? Healthy for you to feel that way about yourself? What is healthy? And what the sister said, to recite the divinity within, the divine purpose that you have on this planet and this earth, and to help them to understand that as they walk and talk, that divinity comes out. So how do you want people to see you in your divinity? To your last point about how do you teach men? You teach men through your example. And if sometimes our example means that we have to show them that we are really masters and we earned this in martial arts, we earned what we have. We didn't just have it given to us, as the sisters have recited, and I experienced it myself. I've trained with masters who did not want to grant degrees to women, who did not even want women on the floor. But for me, it was like, hey, I'm my big brother's little brother. You know, it was like, don't see me as you envision me to be, but see what I can do. And see that what I can do is as and greater than what you are doing. And I'm not putting you down because I'm more than you. I'm helping you understand that you need to grow. I am there, you can get there. How do we teach men? We teach men with a tender hand because a lot of brothers don't understand their own ignorance. I understand I have many brothers. I have many big brothers, and I am tolerant of that. When I no longer need to be tolerant, and I'm not.
I think with, if we go back through the Sankofa,
Yes,
go back a little bit in our history,
yes,
all the great women warriors
they
that
were
came
masters.
prior, that
Even
came
Sankofa's in there.
prior
Yes,
to martial arts and karate and all like this. Those women, Queen Nzinga, who was a diplomat. You had the Candaces of Ethiopia, who were great queens. Dear Alexander of Greece found that out the hard way because it was that Ethiopian queen who sat with her 10,000 archers there. You know, that makes you think. He turned it, that was the only time he walked away from a battle was in it, because that woman sat there and said, come on, bring whatever you want to bring. He thought about it. Sometimes when you demonstrate
yes.
that it's a chess thing, it's strategy. I love chess.
Same here.
And historically, women were not allowed to play chess, probably because we were in tune to be very good at it. But I share with people, what is the most powerful piece on the board? That's with the young women I deal with. It's the queen.
Right.
Now she has a little drawback because she can't hop like the knight, but she can go all over the board.
Right.
And that is something that we need to think about. So historically, if we go back in time, Harriet Tubman, what drives me crazy, then I'll be quiet. They tell the wolf needed a better publicist than Little Red Riding Hood would have been the bad person. Harriet carried a 45 on her hip. And that's why some slaves didn't go back, because they got left under the bush. There was no ifs or buts. She just pumped a couple shots in them and that was it. But people think, oh no, don't say that. Oh. She was Moses. No, she killed them. And it's just coming out in some of the movies, those things that women will do or have to do in order to protect their own. Reach back. Sankofa, I tell our young women all the time, read those stories. Read them.
You know, some of that sexism also comes from women who were not recognized as being warriors, so they dress like men, so that they could have that. And that's in our history too. But I mean, there are roots of some of that history that also say we have had to fight the fight the hard way, and we continue to fight the fight. Because as you have said earlier, there are still brothers out there. There are still master men out there who feel like they can't rank a sister higher than brothers, and they can't rank them faster than some of the brothers that they trained with when they're better than brothers. You know, but it's still out there. I don't let it bother me because they're not a part of my experience. They don't make me. I came online in martial arts without rank. I came online in martial arts for over 20 years without rank. So in my experience, I still put 30 plus because you know what? I don't trip over it. I don't trip over the colors because they were designed by people who felt they had to have a color. The beauty of the black belt is that it was really only a white belt. And it got black because you never washed it, because you wore it all the time, because your energy is in it, your spirit is in it. So the beauty is it's only a white belt. We're constantly, perpetually learning. And that's the beauty of what I love about teaching and about learning everywhere in life. It doesn't stop.
I would like to I would like to chime in on that topic. I believe that it is important that we begin to have those difficult conversations.
Oh no, Dr. Cynthia, did you freeze? I hope not. Difficult
No.
conversations. You're back.
Difficult conversations with these grandmasters and masters, and even these younger Black belts that's carrying on the legacy of their fathers and their master instructors, just as I have with some of these instructors who in Chicago, the Midwest, some of those masters who believe that we're on a 50-degree Black belt. So my strategy was, well, you're not going to knock me down because I'm a mistake. I've been too long. However, you ain't going to. I approached this two specific ones. What have I done to you? Why do you treat me so bad? Why do you make these phone calls about me? Why are you so angry? I said, because I'm only doing what you taught me. So you're upset because I'm doing what was learned from you. And it made them think like, oh, wow, you told me to act this way. If someone tried to make me change my mind about my point or my decision to stand stronger, and now that I'm standing strong, you have a problem. I think we should have more forums to engage in conversation with these men, just as we're doing today. You've taken the first step that many Black belts have never done. No men outside of, I can't say that because I'm going to say President Otis Baker, they stood up and they fought for me since 1983. No matter where we were, they always fought for me and the rights of me as one of their Black belts. But very few men stand up and fight. Deidre's instructor in Milwaukee, he's another one. I can count on my hand 5 masters or grandmasters who will stand up and say, these women earned their rank and went through it as we have, and they deserve the same respect as we get. How do we continue the conversations to get people to say the same thing?
Well, we'll keep talking about it. That's what we keep doing. We'll make sure we keep banging that drum. That's why I like it. Go ahead, Guru.
I was just going to quickly say, we also got to look at the situation with men. A lot of men have come up through abuse, just like women. Or in situations, what's the first thing we say? Oh boy, stop crying. Oh boy, this. Oh, you better not say anything. So they got emotional challenges as well, but we don't really talk about it. And it's almost like a taboo still. You don't need counseling. Mental health in the African American community is to be stepped up a whole lot, in addition to talking to these young Black men, because they are harmed, maybe not as women, but they are harmed as well. And imagine as a male chap growing up in the house and you see mama getting beaten, abused, and then you grow up and you try to process it. You're crying as a kid because you can't understand why somebody's hurting my mother. Grown man, you repeat that behavior. So one of the problems is we don't address mental health. That's why men continue to see women as they do, less than, because they've seen a lot have emulated what they've seen in the house.
That's the truth. That's really true. A lot of times, as a behavioral scientist, an urban anthropologist, the major thing that we see with our young men is what is the definition of a man? And that definition has so many levels. What causes the person to be a man? What causes a person to be a woman? That this is the United States of America. And you wake up the next morning and you find out it's no longer the color red, it's the color blue. So based on what is it now? It's no longer swag. Young men don't have swag anymore. The young people, I wrote a paper. It's not swag, it's drip. That's the new word. It's totally been changed. And this has affected the martial sciences, the martial arts also. Things have changed since the onset of social media. It's different. There are no more phones, dial phones. Everything is a video, it's the video games. So when we look at the change, well, myself as an elder, I asked, Why did this change? How are you a man? How are you a woman? What do you need? So maybe if we pull the terms back, instead of saying as they're growing, to say instead of man, woman, how about male, female, and then allow them to become who they are, especially in relation to the fighting systems. MMA has taken over the world, totally. Get in the ring and just beat each other up. That's not mixed martial arts. That's mixed combat sparring. So we need to pull that term away. I've never had a problem with a male saying he ain't gonna give me something, because then I'll go, I created my own system, fine, whatever, right? I'll go do my own thing. So I don't need another, not man, woman, or child to make me who I am.
Deirdre, you had your hand up. I know you want to chime in.
I did, real briefly, and I agree with what's been said. And I just wanted to say, I think if we really want our voices to be heard, I think it's really important that we sisters in the martial arts come together on a united front. And I mean an honest united front, not the fake phony one, but really come together and drop all the, the ego about the rank and all that kind of stuff, and really come together, honestly, come together in transparency about the needs and the concerns that we have, and back each other and support each other. So if the fellas never come on board, hopefully they will, but in the meantime, I think that it's more important for us to show a united front together and support each other, especially a seasoned, black belts, whatever, the masters, grand, whatever, us that's been around for a while, because we have to be the ones, for the ones that are coming up to look at and to lead by example. So I think it's very important for us to come together and be real and to be honest and stop all that fakery and just be transparent and show up and be supportive of one another.
I just want to let men know, I believe they're suffering and pain. And I do agree with Master Robinson, and also as a health scientist, I know they're traumatized, but that does not. When the words come out of your mouth, that should give you pause to say, how are those words, and what do I mean by them? Even when you say them, because when you ask them, what are you saying? You get most answers is, I don't know. Well, then that's a sickness. And in that sickness, there's time to start. That's when the healing process should start. And if you don't know how to start your healing process, then you remain sick, the community remains sick, and we're still hurting our ladies. We'll start hurting our queens. Because I still hear men call you ladies queens and then turn around and listen to music that doesn't call you queens. So I'm confused.
Confused as well. But
I think Deidre hit it on the, I think Deidre hit it on the head, because many times women in the martial arts and outside of the martial arts, they are, it's like they're in bondage to their instructors, and they're afraid to support other women in the martial arts because their instructors tell them, you can support that woman. You can only support the schools that I tell you to go to. But you have women like ourselves who believe in supporting other women and who've been doing it since you've been in the martial arts. And we have to somehow nurture these new martial arts women and teach them that it's important that we stay together and support each other.
Absolutely agree, Dr. Cynthia. And I think even how I've been connected with the ladies here today is because of Lady Sensei. I've never met her personally, but I guess over the years she's kind of seen some of my stuff or whatever. And it's because of her that I've even got these connections going. But my point is, if we can all just take a little piece of the other and share it, what is it going to cost us to share it? And there are instructors who don't want you patronizing other schools, but you know what I say? That's their problem, because I respect where I come from. I get homage to where I come from in terms of the martial arts. But the bottom line is, talking about women in a man's world, there are a small percentage of women and women of color in a man's world. I'm okay being in a man's world, but I'm going to make my voice heard. I'm going to let you see what I know and what I can do. And it's not to outdo you, it's just to be heard, because women need to see us. Women need to experience what we've been through. When I say experience, they need to hear our stories. And Dr. Dyer, going back to you, a man can only continue to do to us what we will allow. Holding secrets, starting in the house. And I don't know how you get this through. I'm the sheltered kid. I know nothing about abuse. I know nothing about neglect. It doesn't mean my household is perfect, but it will say that my mom and my dad kept us protected, thank God, from that. And that's not a negative for people who have gone through it. But my point is this: we got to start encouraging these young ladies to tell. We got to start encouraging the young boys to tell. Stop keeping secrets. People talk about generational curse. That's the curse.
That's the curse.
We won't tell them that. We won't tell them mom. We won't tell them the hideous actions that go on in our house. And I understand why, but doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it right. So how do we reach these people? And once when I say reach these people, how do we reach those in those situations? And as women, we got to stop allowing guys to call us out of our name, listening to that vulgar music and thinking it's cool. There's nothing cool about it. And D.L. Hughley, who I don't particularly like as a comedian, he said something very key one day. He said, women, if you want a man, start acting like a woman. Don't take on our habits. We're coming to you because we want to break the habits. Don't emulate what we do. Oh my gosh, why can't we get that? Stop tattooing your body out. Have all these muscle piercings. And I'm not saying that it's wrong, don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is that, are you doing it to impress him? If that's the reason why, he's telling you he doesn't want you to do that. He's looking for that higher ground. He's looking for you to pull him up. But if you're doing the same thing he's doing, who's the man, who's the woman? So there's a lot of confusion. But I still think it all goes back to mental health. We've got to be honest about our mental health. As women, the things that we dealt with, we will take stuff to our grave and never say anything. But how does that help the child behind me? How does that help my grandkids, my great grandkids, and everybody beyond it? We've got to stop holding secrets. We got to start telling. And then we got to remember that our boys are affected just as much as our girls. But we tell them so early, stop acting like a baby and grow up. No, he's a baby. Let's nurture him properly, whatever properly is, to make him move forward. So that's just my take on it. That when we start allowing it.
Go ahead, Pat.
Like Sister V said, not just the females, but also the males. And a lot of these kids nowadays, minds are just going from one extreme to another. Sometimes I don't think they know what they believe in. Now, I have an example. I had a young man that I used to pick up after school, and it was a special time to talk. And we talked until he graduated from elementary. Now, years later, I'm at the laundromat, and this big muscular kid come up behind me, like, I don't know you. It's me, Jamal. And he gave me the biggest hug. His mother gave me a hug. She said, I'm so glad that you talked to him and, guide him to where he is now. And this kid was in high school. He should be out of college now. He might be playing pro football. But I saw that path. And he was going off a little bit, but he realized, okay, let me think. And he stayed on that straight line. Mm-hmm. And even my son, he tried it. And he told me a few years ago, Mama, I am so glad you kept your foot in my behind. I said, well, you know what? I didn't mind you going dreads, but then you found out it was too time or something, so it was the barbershop. But he's a happily married guy, and he's got 3 kids. And even my grandson don't even hang out. Okay.
Sister Amazana, you have a question. You're gonna say something.
Yes, I'm speaking to your question, Dr. P. Speaking about how to help. I call them naysayers. And a few different things. Yes, we could. We're all in very different fields when we're off of the mat. And I come from the angle of being a school teacher. So one of the reasons why I became a school teacher is because working after school programs, being in the community, I couldn't be everyone's parent to be direct into their upbringing. Grandmaster Pat does a great job making connections, as she talks about on the bus, having those quiet times. but sometimes it's those quiet times, those intimate relationships that are non-traditional that we have to really link up with someone to help them to have what we would consider a healthier upbringing, not proper, because it's all subjective. But for the naysayers, a few things. Sometimes I would just say, one, for us to do as we're doing by example is to just be. I don't have to convince you of my technique because I am convinced and I have seen it in action, and others lack of action or can't react. So we can go about it many different ways. But it's not to say that it's with a chip on the shoulder per se, but to just be confident in your own journey. And those who can't fight your way out of a brown paper bag, to know that you can't fight your way out of a brown paper bag, and that's okay for your place as well.
Right.
Like there's a place for everyone. But one of the things that I want to speak to is that as we have mentioned, Lady Sensei, who's also featured in this wonderful book about the Women's Martial Arts Network that she has. I do something that's not nowhere near on the same level of speaking to women of different martial arts, but one of the things that I do for Our Belt Promotions is that I always make sure that I seek out another female teacher. Your in of however you do what you do does not take anything away from me. That is your own existence. We are in this wonderful Brady bunch, of our rectangles, and we're all enjoying seeing each other being great in our own little spaces. So the same way, when we have workshops, I make sure we highlight people that look like me and don't look like me, and people that are marginalized because of often what they look like or the level of expertise, but maybe they need an assistant. Maybe we just need a platform for them to learn how to find their own greatness and to not be afraid of that. So to keep other women, young girls interested in martial arts, interested in martial science, interested in the culture of being great, and then through the African diaspora, having those coupled together, it starts with giving a healthy environment and finding platform. I think that our brothers will come along if they plan to stay along in martial arts. As long as we continue to be along, they'll see it. Eventually, they may not have the vocabulary or the comfortability possibly to express it, but then that's, again, their cup of tea. We don't have to worry about that.
Thank you. Sister Deirdre, you still have your hand up, or did you just take it down? Is there a new hand?
No, I don't have my hand up. Oh, you know what? I never took it down, I guess. That was my first time raising my hand in the room. So let me see. How do I do
If I may, I didn't raise.
Oh, yes, Mama OG. That's okay.
Thank you. I just want to talk about the fact that children, they tell the truth. If nothing else, you'll get the truth from a child. And I think when two things. I was in a laundromat one day, and a young man who had been in a competition had come in, and he recognized me. And then he just started bowing, and he was like, "Mom, this is a grandmaster, and she's washing clothes in the laundromat." And I'm like, "Baby, I need clean clothes." I said, "Forget about all this stuff. I gotta wash my clothes too." Right? And he was just so excited to see me in the laundromat. That made his day. And then I think it impressed him that I'm just a normal person. I'm just normal. I'm a human being, and people will come if I'm in the food market and they'll see a bottle of wine in my cart. And I had a college student say, "Oh, well, Grandmaster, you drink the wine for health." No, I drink the wine because I need alcohol. How about that? Because I have to deal with you, right? And he was like, "Oh, sure," because they put you up on the pedestal, and you're not there. And in closing, the whole thing with our men. I've been to so many award ceremonies, and they asked me, "Your husband wasn't able to come and get his award tonight?" I'm like, huh? I have people call the house. "Is your grandmaster there?" You're talking to her, right? This is just the way it goes. And I mean, I even had a struggle with a guy at a award ceremony. "No, this is my trophy. It's mine. I work for it." And he was confused. So it's the interaction with human beings. They, to the world, a martial artist is a Caucasian gentleman 9 times out of 10 with a black belt on, and nobody, or Asian, he could be Asian, but nothing else is indicated historically. That's the image. And so the wolf just needs a better publicist. That's all. We just need to keep doing what you're doing, sir, and then getting the word out.
Master Shakira,
Yes, sir. I want to speak to the female and male aspect with awards and competitions. My husband and I started martial arts at the same time, but I got such a passion for it. I kept going when he was transferred somewhere else and couldn't continue his training. So when I have done competitions, when I get awards and go to all these different places, I always give him kudos. I'm always the one, the female only one, who says, and I want to acknowledge my husband for his support, on my journey with this. Everyone else is like, I want to thank my wife, who's been with me. And I'm like, I want to acknowledge my husband who gives me the support to help with the journey, because I love this journey. And I want you, all the brothers out there, to understand that he doesn't train me. I am not a reflection of him. I am a reflection of me. And, the beauty is I'm on this journey as a woman, and I'm on this journey. He supports me as a woman. So brothers out there know that it takes nothing from you. He is a powerful man. And I wouldn't marry less than a powerful man, but he has a powerful woman. You know what I'm saying? The brothers acknowledge out there, there's nothing taken from you because you have a strong woman. So accept that as part of your beauty.
And as you're saying, and Pat, I'm gonna let you talk. I just think it's very difficult for men to realize that they are very weak when they don't acknowledge the other. It doesn't. I don't understand how that's not being taught in the household. But then it goes back to that mental health and the traumatization and everything that has a fluid. Pat, what do you want to say?
Well, coming with Grandmaster Marshall, Grandmaster Cunningham, and I'm also going to include Grandmaster Reggie Moten. But coming up as a family, with Simba, even now, we're all family.
Yes.
When I was coming up, believe me, them guys would stay on our butt, not just me, but the other females in the class. And if we did something wrong, say at a tournament, we paid for it when we got back to class. Is that right, Mama G?
She stepped
But
out.
we learned. And even now, I get the biggest support from some of my brothers. Not all of them, some of them. I still have a few that's a little jealous, but as they say, I gotta keep going. I'm representing Simba. I'm also representing Palmer School of Martial Arts. I'm representing DMV, even Grandmaster Riley Hawkins. He calls me boss lady. But I learned to okay, something come up, I'm gonna talk to one of my brothers and see what they say. Then I take it back to my young little warriors. And sometimes I sit down, I have a powwow with them, especially my middle school and high school girls. And I say, first lesson, do not let anybody touch you. Feel uncomfortable. Okay, now you tell them, don't put their hands on you. Give them one warning. And this is what we do after that. And you're not the hell out of it. We'll deal with the suspension later.
Right.
And on that note, we know attention spans are small. So we're going to cut this short, but that doesn't mean we're cutting this off. There's a difference. So for those of you who just want to listen and hear it again, please contact us through all the Instagram and all that other stuff you'll hear us from. And I'd like to thank all you She Heroes in person, publicly, and say I am so honored to be in this presence with you. And it doesn't mean that the ones who are not here, the ones we don't know about, that you are forgotten about. because I think that gets misrepresented. They're like, well, I wasn't on this, I wasn't on that. It has nothing to do with where you are, because we feel you, we trust you, and we want to connect with you. And hopefully that brings you out and say, connect with these sisters and say, I did not know. Well, now you do. Now you do. So reach out, touch us, touch someone, and we'll bring you into the fold, because we can't do this alone, and we definitely got to do this together. So rest of you, good night. You ladies stay on while I cut this thing off, and I thank everyone, and I'll see you